Hey all, welcome to this week's episode of the Shut Up Get Up podcast. I'm your host, Mike Muldoon. Hope everybody's doing well this week. Thanks for joining me on this ride. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the story and why having the story is so important. It's funny because when most people tell you about the successes they had in life, they'll always tell you the story about how they got there. And a lot of times that story comes with the hardship or failure or having to overcome obstacles. Now, the funny thing about the story is everybody wants a story to share, but rarely does anybody ever want to go through it. You know, we all kind of grew up hearing that saying, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And it's so true. But a lot of times that journey it's tough. It's miserable. There's rain, there's mud, there's flooding, there's obstacles, there's breakdowns, and all these things you're going through at that point that are frustrating to get you to your destination. And yet, when you look back, that's the stuff you talk about, because that's where the growth came from. I mean, if you look at history, right? I mean, there's so many famous stories of people who had to overcome such adversity and became their story. And now we know their stories as almost as much as we know about what they went on to do. Like, Albert Einstein, right? Brilliant. I mean, we talk about genius, we talk about Albert Einstein, right? For the first 3 years of his life, the man didn't even speak. And though he was okay in school, he was a very distracted child. And a lot of people just thought he was, just lazy and he wasn't going to do anything. And that was kind of the stigma on him. There's a lot of negativity around him, but yet this guy goes on and develops the theory of relativity, right? Jim Carrey, I love hearing him talk. I love hearing Jim Carrey talk. At 15 years old, he dropped out of school. His family was living in a van. And look what he went on to become. But I'm sure at the time when Jim and his family were living in a van, that wasn't a great thing. He probably wasn't sitting around going, this is amazing. This is how my life should be. Now, I'm sure if he looks back now, because knowing a lot about, Jim's beliefs and his philosophies, he probably realized it's part of his journey. But again, at the time, that couldn't have been easy. But that's his story. Edison. He failed at what? What do they always say? 9,999 times at inventing the light bulb. It took him to the 10,000th time, but as much as we look back now on Edison's story and how frustrating that must have been for him and everybody around him to just see failure after failure after failure, his story is what we've become to know. Stephen King, he wrote Carrie and it was rejected by something like 30, 40 different publishers that he literally put the book away. He put it away. It wasn't until his wife one day encouraged him to finish it. Now, obviously, we know what Stephen King has gone on to become. But what I'm saying here is these people had a story. I mean, a recent story, this one has always been surprising me. The young girl, Bethany Hamilton, who had her left arm bitten off by a shark during a surfing accident. And instead of quitting, she's continued to go on and compete and actually win championships. But if you talk to her about, that story going through it all, I mean, that's not a story I think anybody wants to go through. But she went through it and she's persevered. Oprah, another one, right? I mean, Oprah talks all the time about being born in poverty in Mississippi. She was a single teenage mother. Well, she was pregnant, and I guess, sadly, she had lost the child. But I mean, she talks all the time about her story. And the story is what is, it was really becomes the driving force behind people to achieve levels of success. But again, getting back to what I originally was talking about, everybody wants a story, but nobody wants to go through it. Because when you look back and now when you have perspective, when you've achieved a certain level of something from it, it's easier to look back at that story and go, well, that was so important to me. That's where the growth came from. That's where I learned. That's where my drive came from. But when you're in it, it sucks. When you're in it, it sucks. I've got a couple of stories myself. One is like I talk about, I'm an ex-athlete, and I was never the strongest, the quickest, the fastest. It's a joke I continually make. And at one point, I got hit by a car on a motorcycle. I lost the use of my right hand. But I loved playing football. And it sucked. For a year and a half, I couldn't use my right hand, couldn't do much, had 2 surgeries, and doctors pretty much told me I could never play again. Well, I went on pretty successful at my college university. I'm still one of the top all-time leading receivers there. And you know what? I look back at that, that driving force for me at the time was being told I couldn't do it. But I went on and did it. Now, when I was going through that for a year and a half of all those surgeries and pain and all that, it sucked. But now I look back, it's part of my story. And my story personally still keeps continuing on right now. There are different things that I'm going through in my life, even currently, that I know suck at times. But they're going to be part of my story that I will tell someday later on, because I know that stories are important to the message we want to put out. So if you're going through something really tough right now, if you're having a hard time in life, everything looks bleak, everything looks, there's no way out. You're frustrated, you're broke, you're angry, you're in poor relationships, you whatever you do. If you just, remember and stay focused, don't fall into the abyss of this is all life is, this is all it's going to be, because you really got to take control of your mind here. And you understand that you want better. You're willing to work to get better, and understand as frustrating as this is just part of your story. This is part of your journey. This is what someday what you're going through, you're going to turn around. And when people are doing stuff, you're going to use your story as your message to inspire other people. So if things are tough right now and you're just feeling frustrated and you're feeling angry, or, a lot of things are in your way, you're on that journey and there's a snowstorm and a car breaks down and there's a flood on the way and there's a mud coming down and it just seems like you're not getting there. Understand that this stuff not only is going to make you stronger, but it's part of your story, and you're going to use this someday to inspire other people to make change. And maybe some of you have already been through all this stuff and haven't even looked back to realize, gosh, wow, you know what? That was a terrible moment in my life. That was a very terrible thing in my life, but look where it got me. Look what it made of me. Look how it helped me. So again, nobody wants to get the story, but everybody wants the story. But unfortunately, to get the story, you kind of got to go through it. And understand that that is going to be your message. That is going to be the way you inspire people. And how people maybe see you going through your story and then see how you came out of your story, which is going to inspire other people. And maybe it's not the masses. Maybe it's just your own children or your friends or other family members who say, you know what? He did it. She did it. You know what? I can do this. I can do this. So if times are tough right now, remember, this is the story that you're writing. And it's a story that right now, as difficult as it looks, as frustrating it seems, how upset you might be, no matter what's going on right now, this is the story that you're going to tell someday. And this is the story that is going to help not only shape your lives, but perhaps change other people's lives as well. So that's what I got for you guys today. Short, sweet, to the point. Again, I was thinking about something today about the stories, and I was thinking about my own frustrations. Every day I tell you people, I don't sit here. I don't have it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out, but I try to work on myself every day. I try not to get as down on myself. Sometimes when things are frustrating because I'm going through my own things right now and things that, seem to be in my way and, are frustrating me. I have to remind myself that I'm on my journey, I'm on my story, that someday I'm going to turn around and use as a way to sort of, help other people, just like I do as a coach. When I talk with and I work with other people, I help them kind of break through some of the bad stories they're telling themselves, but that's what I do. So again, I don't have it all figured out, but I know that right now, the stuff that I'm going through and my frustrations are all part of a grander story that someday I'm going to tell, and I'm going to come out better for it. So today, take this short, hopefully sweet episode as a way to just anything you might be going through right now, understand it is part of the journey. Because like we always say, and we've always heard since we're children, it's not the destination. It's the journey. It's the journey we remember. Okay? All right. So I'm going to wish you all have a great weekend. As always, follow me on Facebook, Instagram at Mike Muldoon LC. You can also find me here on wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. But if you found me somewhere else, but you want to look for me, I'm on Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. But if you're listening to me on your favorite one right now, that is fantastic. That's great. That's awesome. And I love it. And I look forward to talking to you all next week. All right. Have a great weekend. And you know what? Life is about living. It's not about existing. Get up.